Hello, welcome back to the Cricket Nerds. It's just me again. Benji and Zach are a little bit busy at the moment, so I might be doing solo podcasts for the next, 2 or 3. So sorry in advance. But thank you so much for the continued support. Today, I'm going to be previewing the India versus Australia fourth test match. So the fourth and final one. Hopefully, we'll see a good 5-dayer this time, or at least longer than 2 days. And hopefully it'll be a better pitch. So, I'm just going to talk about that. I'm going to preview it. And there are a few kind of key points that I want to talk about. First of all, is the pitch. Now, I know that kind of going into this series, there was a lot of discussion about the pitches. There was a lot of resentment from India fans about saying we never talk about the pitch. It's fair for both teams. What's the problem? That's not what I'm kind of getting at. I'm not saying that it's unfair to have a bad pitch, or a pitch that's like spinning, 10 degrees on day one. That's not unfair because both teams have to bat on it, as we all know. But what isn't good is the fact that the tests are only lasting like 2 days at most. It's not good for test cricket. It's incredibly hard for batters to perform on that pitch. And that's what we saw in the indoor test. So hopefully the Ahmedabad one will be better because, and I'm going to leave a link in the description for a piece that Jarrod Kimber did. So it's just an analysis on how India's kind of top 6 batters since I think it was 2020, their averages have just plummeted, and that is roughly the kind of time where India started producing these unbelievably dry and spinning pitches when other sides were touring. And I think India need to have some more confidence in themselves. They don't need to produce these ridiculously spinning pitches. They have a good enough team to beat anybody when they're at home. Going into, I can't remember what the exact stats were, which is why I'm leaving the description, that link in the description. But Rohit Sharma was averaging close to 50 or 60 in the period of 2017 to 2020. And it's plummeted to like around 40 now, which is still obviously really impressive. And he's probably doing the best out of anybody. But even in the period of like, I want to say 2021 to 23, Kohli is averaging less than Zach Crawley. My goodness. That's what kind of world are we living in? Not a big slight on Zach Crawley, I should say, but more what on earth is going on with Virat Kohli, who is one of the greatest of all time. And it's these really, really difficult to play spinning tracks that he's batting at home. Like, where are you going to get your confidence? The only chance that Kohli has to get his confidence back is on overseas tours. It's not a good recipe. So that's the first thing. Hopefully in Ahmedabad, the pitch is better. Sharma was talking about making a green seamer. I doubt that's going to happen, but hopefully it's just a fairer battle between bat and ball and all the different types of bowling as well, because everybody in both sides is absolutely quality, and that's what we want to see. Another kind of interesting thing, Pat Cummins won't be back for the last test, so Steve Smith's going to be the captain for this fourth one again. It is quite interesting, Steve Smith being the captain. A lot of people are kind of saying, oh, well, he should be the captain full time. But they kind of forget, I think, that how good Pat Cummins has actually been since he's been the captain. So, that's something interesting. But, in this series, Australia won the one that Steve Smith captained. Is that anything to to talk about? Australia are obviously battling to draw the series, and if they do, that would be pretty huge, in my opinion. And it would be quite embarrassing for India from being 2-0, and not just a 2-0. It was a chanceless 2-0 up in the series. If they then slump to 2-2, that would be pretty shocking. So going into it, obviously we need Axar Patel to do better with the ball if he's going to play again. I could see him being dropped and Kuldeep Yadav finally coming in. But the issue is, and I think somebody in the comments picked this up at one point, that Axar Patel has been averaging in the 90s. He's batting with an average of 92.5 in this series. The second best is Rohit Sharma with 41.5. And this was actually a CNQ that Tanmay Goel sent in. He said, keeping in mind of this, was it a tactical mistake of India to send Axar in at number 9 because he remained not out in both innings? So should he have batted longer and not had the tail to try and shepherd? Definitely a good question. And it's kind of one that I want to open up to you guys, and please let me know in the comments what you think, because Axar Patel at the moment is averaging the most with the bat. Should he just be in as a batting all-rounder that's going to throw down a few deliveries? Because he's definitely not bowling as much as Jadeja and Ashwin, but he is batting really well. So, interesting question. Would you rather have a more potent bowler in Kuldeep Yadav, for example? Not that he definitely would be, but probably. Or do you have Axar Patel in because the batting is so fragile in that top 6 that you kind of need the help? England had this same kind of question when it was against West Indies in January, with Chris Wokes, who was just not taking any wickets, but he was being one of the best batters, even though he's coming in at number 8. So it's an interesting question. I would personally go for a more potent bowler because Axar Patel just hasn't been himself, or he hasn't been the incredible bowler that he was at the start of his Test career. So I would personally go for Kuldeep Yadav, who has been brilliant even recently. Other questions about India. Obviously, they've dropped KL Rahul now, and Shubman Gill is opening. Was that the right decision? Probably. And I hope Shubman Gill does a bit better this time round. Kohli is the question mark, because obviously he's not been great touch. He has looked good but gone out, particularly to Todd Murphy. Kohli is a very, very generous batter, as we've discussed. I think it's been said in the comments. He he will happily go out to debutant and very inexperienced spinners. And it's very kind of him, but hopefully he can get a big score. But can people like Matthew Kuhneman and Todd Murphy continue to really damage Kohli and his ability to score? That remains to be seen. But overall, my preview and my prediction is that it's going to last 4 days, this test, hopefully. I just want a longer test. I want to see more cricket. It's going to last 4 days, and India are going to win. But I think Australia have kind of got the wind in their sails a bit now. So it could be a slightly more difficult one for India to win than the first two, which isn't saying much because they were just walkovers, really. But yeah, it all depends on how India can play Nathan Lyon. Because in the first test, Nathan Lyon was just not quite there. And then since, he has been his normal self. I think he's the best overseas bowler to bowl in India. He is just so consistent. He gets so much turn, bounce. He's gets it right on line and length every time. He's absolutely outstanding. So if India's top 6 can navigate Nathan Lyon a bit better, I think Australia could cause India a few problems. But that being said, I still think India have got this. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, because as you know, I really like hearing what you guys are saying. And yeah, it's really good to hear from India fans' perspective as well. And no matter which country you support, you know, especially if you're kind of a neutral like me, it's good to have that objective point of view in the comments and in that discussion. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Leave your cricket nerds questions in the comments, and you might have a chance of being answered in the next video or two. I think there will be a preview or a reaction, sorry, on the WPL game later on today. So 2 videos in a day would be pretty mental. So don't forget to subscribe, because there's lots of good stuff going on this channel. And yeah, your like and your subscription would really be appreciated. You can follow our social medias. We are at Cricket Nerds Pod on most things, or the Cricket Nerds on other things. It's all in the link tree down below. So yeah, thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.